Hello, good morning. You know, I'll never forget the day I met one of my all-time heroes, Haile Gebrselassie. And when I say one of my all-time heroes, I'm not exaggerating. This guy's story inspires me like nobody else's. So Haile was born in a town called Asella in Ethiopia. Now, Asella is up in the mountains, about 8,000 feet above sea level. Now, living in a town that high up comes with a unique problem. There is a shortage of oxygen. Yeah, when you stand in the center of Asella and breathe in, a considerably smaller quantity of oxygen will make its way into your lungs than when you take that same single breath here in Accra. Now, this is a problem. We all need oxygen, and we need it in abundance. The more active we are, the more of it we need. That's why you breathe faster after running or fighting or making love. Now, if you don't know what a lack of oxygen can do to you, ask the people dying in the emergency wards of government hospitals as we speak. So this is the place where Haile Gebrselassie grew up. But it gets worse. His school was 10 kilometers away from his house. That meant he had to travel 20 kilometers a day, walking, just to get an education. That's about the distance from Accra to Tema. Every single day. Sometimes he was late and would have to run all the way there with less oxygen than you and I have access to here in Accra. So naturally, over the years, his lungs evolved. They learnt how to ration every breath he took and use the little oxygen that came in to effectively run his body and brain through all his daily activities, including running 2 marathons a day, to and from school, when he was only 9 years old. My dear friend, life is tougher for some than others. I'm sure you look at the year we are having so far and you wonder how you're going to make it through. The economy continues to limp along, and then we've got COVID, and then doomsday comes and darkens it all, and we are all being forced to chase the dollar into the bush. You start to wonder how you're supposed to go without so many things and still survive. Let me remind you that the most essential thing a human being needs is oxygen. If a person can get by on rations of oxygen, then there truly is nothing that we cannot live without, including electricity. Now, the thing that inspires me most about Haile's story is how his weakness became a strength. After getting by on rations of oxygen his whole life and still performing at the highest standard, just imagine what he was able to do when he descended to our level here where oxygen is abundant. If he could only jog at home, down here, he could fly. Nobody could catch the little man from Asella. There was really no point trying to. Of course, those of us down here, we have been spoiled. We breathe freely all our lives, and so imagine how we will all suffer if we were to move to Haile's hometown of Asella. That's life. Those who start off in abundance, they tend to struggle in adversity. And the opposite is also true. You know, back in Ogasco, there was an athlete called Agabus. The guy was fast. He broke every imaginable sprint record there was to break. And his secret was that every morning, he would go to the beach, tie bags of sand around his ankles, and run in the sand. He would sprint at great bursts of speed with weights around his ankles on the unruly, uneven surface of the sand. Then he would walk around all day with the sandbags on his ankles until the time of the race, when he would finally take off the sandbags, and then Agabus's legs would feel super light. The same effort he had been using to move with the sandbags, now that effort would take him a great deal further and a great deal faster once he took them off. So what are the sandbags in your life? What are the things that put you at a disadvantage to others? Is it a poor upbringing, less than excellent grades in school, less than excellent looks, a disability? Whatever your disadvantages, try to remember that they are actually advantages when you compete against those who have never had to live with your limitations. So show them what you have endured. Show them what you have been through and survived. Make those who think they are better than you realize that they are no match for you even on your worst day. Show them that all your life you have been doing what they do, but you have been doing it without what they have. Show them that after a lifetime of battling with one arm tied behind your back, they stand no chance against you with both hands free. In fact, it's not even a fair fight. You will wipe the floor with them. All these tough years that we're having to live through now, that's God's training for us with the sandbags in the sand, so that when we hit the turf and he takes our sandbags off, nobody can catch us. My name is Kojo Yankson, and I've never had much. So to win, I don't need much. Good morning, Ghana.
Hello, it's Wednesday, 21st of April. Welcome to the AM News. Now, police in the Central Region have arrested 2 persons suspected to have gunned down a businessman at Opekuma near Kaswa. Central Regional Police Commander DCOP Habiba Chumesi Sapong says a series of measures are being rolled out to deal with the crime situation at Kaswa and other neighborhoods. Correspondent Richard Kojanyako has more in the following report.
On the 31st of March, the Kaswa Divisional Police Command received reports that a man aged about 45 had been shot by an unidentified male suspect who was a pillion rider on a motorcycle close to the Opekuma traffic light in Kaswa. Police proceeded to the crime scene, found the man and rushed him to the Kaswa Polyclinic, where he was pronounced dead. Initial investigation revealed that 2 men on a black Royal motorbike at Opekuma Junction traffic light and a pillion rider on the same bike, armed with a shotgun, got down from the motorbike, attacked the deceased, who was coming from the opposite direction of the road, collected some brown envelopes he was holding, and shot him on the chest. Central Regional Police Commander DCOP Habiba Chumesi Sapong addressed the media on the developments.
The deceased was identified later as Mr. Stephen Enchi, a businessman who stays at Obolo Estate at Kaswa. Investigations revealed that the deceased on the day of the incident was sending unspecified amount of money in an envelope to meet his business partner when he was shot and robbed by the suspect at Opekuma Junction traffic light. New development. On 19th April 2021, the Kaswa Divisional Police Command, based upon intelligence, arrested suspect Eric Asare, aka Fanta Moja, at his hideout at Budumbura in connection to the murder robbery of the deceased Stephen H. at Opekuma Junction, Kaswa. Meanwhile, the suspect is yet to be put before court. Body of the deceased was deposited at the police hospital mortuary for preservation, identification, and autopsy.
The police commander also briefed the media on the measures put in place to clamp down criminal activities at Kaswa.
Security measures put in place to curb criminals at Kaswa and Millennium City Division. More personnel have been sent to augment the strength of personnel at the 2 divisions to help with operations, police operations. Vehicular, motorbike, and foot patrols have been intensified. Police, in collaboration with opinion leaders, are negotiating to form more community watch committees. Media education, community engagement are ongoing within the 2 divisions and its environment. More informants have been cultivated to help with information sharing. Very soon, there will be introduction of tent cities to be closer to the public. They will be co-locating within certain environment within Kaswa.
In a separate development, the Kaswa CID, acting on intelligence, arrested and brought to the Kaswa Divisional Headquarters suspect Kofi Apia, also known as Abuaji Da Costa, together with 10 bundles of 50 Ghana cedi notes suspected to be fake. The suspect was arrested from his hideout at Estate Junction at Kaswa. A search conducted in his apartment led to the retrieval of the bundles of money. He has since been detained and would be arraigned in court subsequently.
Well, Richard Kojonyaku will join us with the latest later on the show. Still on crime, though, police have arrested 2 suspects for burning a 64-year-old woman alive at Nankwanduri in the Bumpurugu districts of the Northeast region. Regional Crime Officer Superintendent Ruben Dugra, who confirmed the arrest, said the suspects were arrested at the DSO in the Western North region after they had attacked the woman and her husband with petrol in the Nankwanduri town in January this year. Superintendent Dugra said the 2 have provisionally been charged with attempted murder and causing injury and will be arraigned on Thursday. He spoke to regional correspondent Elias Tanko.
Somewhere 26th of January 2021 at Nankwanduri, one of the villages in the Bumpurugu districts in the Northeast region. This young man, he has an uncle who works with the GRA, General Revenue Authority. So the uncle came home and he called him just to advise him to be of good behavior and conduct himself well. He was then working with 2 others. So apparently he wasn't happy with these kind of pieces of advice the uncle was giving him. So this got him infuriated. He went home and came back with petrol in this ablution can to burn the house of the uncle. So at that time he arrived, the uncle's mom, the 64-year-old woman, one Lila Kuya, she was standing at the gate of the door. So she kind of tried to prevent him from carrying out this bad intention of his. Then this young man just poured the petrol on the body of this old lady and lit her. This young man, after this act, he went into a hideout. He actually ran into neighboring Togo, but we had hint of his movement, so we put a trail on him. We were monitoring him. When he got to know that police were closing up on him, he relocated. So we continued our trail on him and we located him at Western North region, precisely in the DSO. And then in collaboration with the DSO police, and that is the NG Divisional Command, we were able to apprehend him. We think that this young man's conduct amounted to an attempt to murder. So we are giving him an attempted murder and at the same time causing harm. The others who were kind of acting alongside with him will be held for aiding and abetting him. And so those are the charges we are preparing for now. But we will be forwarding the docket to the law office for advice.
More on this when we take a trip around the regions on the show. Now, traditional authorities of New Ayoma in the Jasikan district of the Oti region are lamenting the dilapidated state of the New Ayoma JHS classroom block. According to them, the situation is affecting academic activities as school automatically closes when clouds gather due to the leak in roofs. The school also lacks furniture, compelling some pupils to sit on stones and benches and write in books placed on their laps or on the ground. Correspondent Fred Kwame Asari has the rest of the story.
The New Ayoma Junior High School A, established about a century ago, has never seen any renovation works. The 4-unit classroom block is fast deteriorating and almost becoming a death trap. The roofing has completely damaged, with several sections leaking when it rains. Academic activities are often disrupted during the rainy season. Some of the students lamented the situation.
The damage of the roofing sheets is affecting us very, very bad. Sometimes when we are in the class and it is about to rain, because of the damage of the roofing sheets, the teachers have to close us. That's very, very bad.
The whole roofing sheet is damaged and is stepping our studies a lot, because even if it's not yet time for us to close and it wants to rain, we have to close because our roofing sheet is not good.
The school's Parents Teachers Association began replacing the damaged roofing sheets but had to truncate the project due to lack of funds. The Junior High School A classroom, which has its roofing changed, serves as a shelter for the entire school when it is raining during contact hours. Gabriel Agbele, is the PTA vice chairman.
So we contributed and then started roofing the building. But the way things are, we were not able to finish up because during the COVID, most of the parents too, and then the children were not in school, so we don't have much money again to complete it.
I am a native of New Ayoma, and this is where I started my school from kindergarten up to old middle school form 4. And I completed in 1980. For some time now, when I visit home, I could see that the building is deteriorating. When it is raining time, in fact, you come here, you feel pity for the students. And even when you get to the classrooms too, some of the roofings were washed off. And you can even see the sky when you are in the room. So the PTA waited and it becomes their problem. So they have taken it up to roof it. But the way the condition is not for roofing alone. We have to re-renovate the whole place to come to a standard so that the students also will feel free and the teachers also will feel free and teach, and the students also can learn and learn well. So we start making efforts, applying to the District Assembly, Ghana Education Service, and some embassies to assist. Finally, we have to apply to America Embassy. That is Ambassador Self-Help. And the reply they gave us was because of the COVID, they could not take more projects.
The school, with a student population of about 250, is also faced with a lack of furniture.
Now, cocoa plantations in the Kwabre South districts of the Ashanti region are under serious threats from sand-winning activities in the area. Residents say the aggressive excavation of their farms threatens sustainable production and livelihoods and are calling for immediate intervention. Here's Nana Aljeme's report.
One excavator sits in the middle of several tracks, awaiting turns to be filled with sand. The sand winners operate day and night with the support of some community leaders. The activity happens in the middle of farms. Emmanuel Edu was hinted his farm was being destroyed. He managed to stop the sand winners, but lost half an acre of his cocoa farm.
More than half acre, and that's a 1 acre there.
They cut down half of the cocoa trees on my land and buried them. It took us a lot of time to be able to notice what has happened.
Another farmer, Kofi Seche, had his palm plantation destroyed last year. He was saddled with debt and his health challenges. My palm plantation was 2.5 acres, and all of it was cut down. No one came to me for permission. Love News observed the sand-winning activities pose environmental health hazards to pupils and teachers of Odumechi DA School. Excavated pits are left uncovered, and the school is exposed to excessive noise, affecting teaching and learning. The continuous sand winning threatens the sustainable livelihoods of farmers and affected communities. Some affected farmers want authorities to act as a matter of urgency.
Food security here is threatened. Immediately they find the sand on your farm, they cut down the food stuff and excavate the sand.
District Chief Executive for Kwabre South, Christian Edupoku, describes the situation as a security threat. His preliminary check indicates the operators have no permit to win sand.
If you want to win the sand, the first step that you should take is to come to the assembly for a permit. But in this case, nothing of that nature was done. The district has invited them. I will get to the bottom of the case and make sure that the appropriate sanctions and remedy is given to the case.
Government has a production target of 900,000 tons of cocoa in 2020-2021 season. Such indiscriminate destruction of cocoa farms, however, threatens attainment of such targets. Nana Awuku Denchambo's report read to you.
And that's Nana Aljima's report ending the AM News. We've got plenty of news to share with you, though, when we settle for the newspaper review. That's just in a little bit. Stay with us.
Oh, welcome. Thank you for joining us for the news review. And guess who's back? Welcome back.
Ta-da! Well, thank you very much.
Oh, I thought we'd make it more exciting. Pop some champagne.
No, it's not like I missed
pop some balloons.
Yeah.
How are you this morning, though?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good.
Right.
Yeah. How are you?
Oh, I'm well. And we're also joined by Gifty Andor at Pierre. Gifty, can you hear me yet? Good morning.
Hear you loud and clear about popping champagne and all of those things.
Yeah. I can see you in the... we just might pop the champagne where you are.
Hi, Miss Gifty.
Bring the money to me. Mama V, where have you been?
Sleeping.
Ask her again. Ask her again. You know, this is one we must do an expose on, but not on live television. But Gifty, thank you for joining us. Let's start with you. What papers do you have that you're going to be sharing with us by way of headlines?
Okay, I have the Find Out newspaper, and I also have the Daily Statesman newspaper. I mean, those are the two papers that I have.
Okay.
If you want me to start.
No, we shall get to the headlines shortly, Gifty. I have the Ghanaian Times, the Finder newspaper, the Ghanaian Publisher, and the Daily Searchlight, the Custodian, and the Daily Statesman as well. But we'll see how many of those we can do. Daily
Graphic, Daily Dispatch, Republic Press, the three papers that I have.
Okay, so ladies, I'd like us to take a minute to look at this bit. It's a bit of a foreign story, but I know your penchant.
George Floyd.
George Floyd.
Yeah.
Derek Chauvin on all three counts: third-degree murder, second-degree murder, second-degree manslaughter. And the security measures they put in place, you know, before that, the 3,000 police officers, I should say, the security at the court, and even within the town, the city, because they felt that there might be chaos. Is this what you expected?
Well, personally, I actually didn't have expectations because, you know, this is U.S. This is a typical state where they had never found any officer guilty of an offense like this.
So quite a precedent. I
actually didn't want to expect anything, but I thought that the prosecution did a fantastic job. I was following closely his closing argument as well. It was really, really impressive. And I'd heard...
And the judge, too, in giving, you know, the directions to the jury about how, you know, breaking it down for them. Interesting.
And I'd heard how, you know, the jury had to agree, all of them. You know, they had to reach a consensus.
It's consensus or nothing.
And it would usually take about, you know, a day to a week. And so totally didn't expect that it was going to come out yesterday when it did. And guilty, you know, those charges. So that's just what I thought. Some people say this is a turning point. However, even after George Floyd, we know that there have been some killings as well.
Breonna Taylor.
Just yesterday, whilst this verdict was being read, there was another shooting of an African-American woman. So we don't know if this is the turning point, but that's just my thoughts.
Well, maybe what resonates with what you're saying is what Reverend Jesse Jackson said. Gifty, just a second. Reverend Jesse Jackson mentioned that it is a step, but it's only just the beginning because, you know, there are a lot of other things to consider, a lot of these happening. But do you remember those $27 million that supposedly the Floyd family has got by way of, that's not a bad thing at all. Gifty?
Well, I wanted to say that I am impressed by the defense to be able to take up this case. I think it took a lot of...
the jury, I will now read the verdicts as they will appear.
Yes, Gifty, we're listening to you.
Yeah, I was saying that I think it took a lot of courage for the defense to take on this case, and I admire lawyers, I admire teams that take up cases like this. That looks almost unsurmountable. But I think that the U.S. had come to a point where it couldn't have gone any other way. It could have gone somehow, the other way. Like Mamavi said, this is the U.S. But I think that there is a bit of momentum at this time that called for this kind of judgment, or that calls for this kind of results from a jury put together. I get the feeling that they felt that the whole system would have exploded should it have been any other way around. This was something, one of the things that the prosecution made clear was that this was a 9-year-old who saw what was happening and actually knew that it was wrong sitting on someone's neck like that and told the police officer to get off his neck. So it's like something that a 9-year-old can read through as wrong. You can't have a whole jury go wrong with it. So I think there was a momentum that called for this kind of result at this point, and the U.S. couldn't have risked it, I think, or the people involved couldn't have risked it with all that's surrounding this case. So, but I give it to the defense. I think they did well. When you listen to them, sometimes they give a different perspective of the issue, because this looks straightforward.
Yeah.
This looks very straightforward, like someone sitting on someone's neck and all of that. But the defense.
Start for us from your end. So your headlines, and then we can come in studio, and Mamavi will continue.
I have the final newspaper, like I said, the banner, the banner story here. President cuts sought for appeals courts, flats. That story is on page 8 of the newspaper, and it's at a cost of 76.5 million. And this is going to judges in Kumasi. Also, you have the energy minister there saying, bear with government to address current power outages. The story is on page 5. Dr. Matthew Pokuprempe has his picture there. And the other stories, Employers Association opposes water electricity tariff hike. The story is on page 4. And government not against regulated small-scale mining, Abuja on page 6. Oil marketing companies back government stance against third-party fuel supplies. Those are the top stories or the headlines in the Finder newspaper. Let me quickly shift to the Daily Statesman. The Daily Statesman is reporting, call your sycophants to order. Kumbo charges Mahama. A story, page 2. I bet, it's on page 2 of the Daily Statesman. And NAPO is saying that government is investing in the energy sector to address power outages. That story is on page 2, slightly different from the way that the Finder newspaper couches that story. And then appeals court complex housing project for judges starting to Kumasi. That story is on the page 2 of the Daily Statesman. Back page of the paper, European Super League created to save football. Real Madrid president Florentino Perez is saying that, and I'm happy to join the biggest club in Algeria. That's Joseph Esso. But you know what has happened to the Super League anyway.
It is not so super.
It's not so super, I guess. but Chelsea checking out the way they did the Charlie. So nipa na jai samai.
Okay, so those are the papers that I have. I guess I hand over to you guys in the studio to take us through your headlines.
All right, so let's go through the Daily Graphic newspaper, one of the 3 papers that I'll be reviewing. On the front page of the Daily Graphic, President cuts sought for court complex judges' residence. No homes, logistics to take child beggars off streets. So this is a campaign, and there's been a lot of calls to the domestic division of the police, the DOFSU, and officers are saying that in some of the districts they haven't had any vehicles since the department was set up. And so how do you expect them to go around and pick beggars? Details of that story is on page 16. Zoomlion partners graphic on waste management. China's cocoa exports is the banner headline. Cocoa Board MOFA assesses impacts. If you go to page 5 of the paper, it's a development story. Chad president killed, son takes over. In the center spread, Germany to support Ghana produce vaccines locally. Employers caution against utility tariff increase. Mother Earth Day commemorated at a cluster of schools. And on the back page of the Daily Graphic, Galamsey threatens water supply in Western Central regions, according to the Ghana Water Company Limited. To the Daily Dispatch now, on the front page, you do not change a winnable team, Benefsin tells NDC. Small-scale miners slot Jenapo. Jogate missed out on ministerial appointment due to flag bearer ambition. Top 10 accident-prone areas in Accra. Paper is highlighting that. ECG load shedding chats also contained in today's edition of the Daily Dispatch newspaper.
Jogate Diano, one shouting. One shouting.
Republic Press is the final one. Banner headline, Techiman Pink Sheets, Days NDC as party suspects foul play. Dr. Baumia has proven his credits wrong, according to Amabuzia. China exporting cocoa is a cause for concern, according to Cocoa Board. New taxes on fuel, COVID-19 levy starts from May 1. Doomsday timetable out soon. Our investment in energy sector will stop power outages, according to the sector minister.
Okay, so let me do, you did the Ghanaian Times, Gifty, but let me just add this bit. ECG announcing the load shedding timetable, just to reiterate that bit. Then on page 3 of the paper, we did not give our statements voluntarily. Accused persons claim in the major Mahama murder trial. That's a new twist in the residents evacuated as Cape Town fire spreads. That's on the international front on page 5. When you go to the center spread of the paper, Sanitation Minister tasks chiefs to join fight against Galamsey. In the Publisher newspaper, Amabusia endorses Baumia. He has proven himself, and I'll have quite a bit to say about this. Kumbo tells Mahama, call the sycophantic campaigners to order, and he's been saying, well, it's time for us to heal the horse rather than select a horse rider. We'll delve into a bit of that. That's in the Ghanaian Publisher newspaper. The Custodian, Agenda 2024 stokes fire in NDC. Kumbo blasts sycophantic childish clamor for Mahama. And there's Ghana grabs 88% of 2020 WASI 8As. That's another story I want to get into. I guess those will be the 3 papers I'll be focusing on by way of stories. So, Gifty, what would you like to highlight before we come back into the studio by way of the stories?
Well, I don't really have a particular choice of which stories to highlight today. But I do like the idea that we are developing the judiciary. You know, we're investing in the judiciary. One of the things that I say is that we don't believe, most people or many Ghanaians don't seem to believe in the police service. Some have issues even, we do have the military, but they are not law enforcers, right? So I think that one of the key institutions we have in this country that we ought to protect very carefully is the judiciary. So I find it interesting also that the newspapers are highlighting it and putting it on the front pages about, President cutting the sword for the appeals court and the flats for our judges. Because when your judges are well resourced, you are rest assured that the things like were highlighted in Anas Anas's report won't be happening. And you are sure that if the police are not fair with me, I can take my matter up high and it can be dealt with. So for me, it's interesting, but it's the cutting of sword, which is a bit of my problem, because we know how we cut swords here, and we know how it ends when we cut the sword. I mean, I can come to the studio and cut the sword for a 5-story building for Mamavi, but as
foundation credible.
As to whether or not the cutting of sword will amount to anything is another. But I am hopeful. Okay, I'm hopeful that we're saying that it's going to cost us 76.5 million cedis. I'm hopeful that the money has already been allocated and it's not going to be touched, and then we'll actually do this, because it might sound like, maybe you can say, oh, the president is trying to score political points, or maybe it's just to making it look as if he's doing something. But I think it's a very important thing that we've done. As to whether or not we move from the sword cutting is another thing. And then we have the energy minister. The final news does it this way. It says, bear with government to address current power outages. It sounds very, not very Napolic to me, but I think it sounds just about right, because people are going to endure a lot of inconveniences. And so if you're saying it this way, it sounds nice. But we still have details that are yet to come. Details about how long this power shedding or this load shedding schedule that we now have from the ECG between 10th and 17th. How long is it going to last? Is it going to Are we going to have another in June, another in July? Is it going all the way to September or December? I think there are questions that we still need some answers
Gifty, please don't give them ideas. Don't give them ideas when it comes to that. But I was about to ask you, is your area affected? Because I know your stretch might be affected.
Pick, I was actually also going to comment on the ECG timetable thing. I get what they're trying to do now, but that's not my reality. My reality is that I am still going off. And I've been going off. So what I'm experiencing now, how do they refer to that? Where does that, how does that come into this timetable? I'm already experiencing a lot. So what do I make of the timetable? I actually don't know. And I kept asking myself yesterday, because you say from 10th to the 17th or so, but my lights are going off right now. And there's no explanation, there's no timetable. Yeah. So for me,
so in the interim, it's not reflective of your situation. It doesn't.
In the absence of saying this is a piece of joke, like I don't know what else to say. Honestly, this is not my reality.
And I feel you because
my lights are already going off.
My lights haven't been. It's not been that erratic for me. In fact, to be very fair, my lights practically don't go off. It's the fluctuation that sometimes, you know, comes on and off, and it can get a bit worrying. But for some people, it is doom.
It's been going off. It's been. I mean, it went off for a long time yesterday, and then still with the low voltage issue. That one you're constantly, like every day, and so what happened to the Bui Dam issue? What the Gridco Systems Director came to say, and what they said yesterday. Like, how do we make sense of everything? How does it all come together for me? It sounds like like a very managed thing that they're trying to do with what's happening with this timetable that is out. I don't get it. Even before we get to 10th of May, I'm already going
it would be interesting at some point to find out from all of you watching us this morning. How do you feel about the timetable? Are you affected? And whether or not you're affected, how do you feel this in any way resolves the problem in there? We have just about 6 minutes. Mama, would you like to get into a story? I have three that I could
go ahead with it. Go ahead with yours.
So Ghana grabs 88% of 2020 WASSCE 8As. That's in the Custodian newspaper. It's on page 2. And Ghana topped the 2020 West African Senior School Certificate Examination with the highest number of Grade A results. A total of 411 out of the 465 candidates who scored Grade A in all subjects were students from Ghana, pioneering the government's free senior high school program. It goes on, and Dr. Opoku Prempeh talking about vindication, and he reiterated that the 2020 results were the only academic year in which 50% of Ghanaian students scored A1 to C6 in all core subjects. A feather in the cap of Ghana, really. We've done well, but I think as you are taking the glory, you should also take the blame, some of the problems we've had with free SHS. I highlight this because it's a positive, but when we talk about the negatives, sometimes it rubs off very badly on people. You can't eat your cake and have it, so enjoy both sides. But kudos to Ghana on that feat. Then Dr. Kumbo has been blasting the sycophantic, childish clamor for Mahama. My simple thoughts on that would be that I agree with both those who are rooting for Mahama, and I agree with Dr. Kumbo, a former lecturer of mine. Here's what I think. The reality is, within the NDC currently, and as some people have already put out there, including Ben Efson, you don't have a figure who is more popular than John Dramani Mahama. So that's one reality that party will have to face. That's their problem to face. But on the other hand, you also have to look at the core problems within the party and addressing the grassroots problems, which is why I also agree with Dr. Kumbo. So those are my thoughts on those matters. And finally, Mama, Amabuzia endorsing Mahama. I've read a lot about this, and I feel aggrieved in a way because it appears as though, yes, Amabuzia is a founding member of the MPP, but did she have to approve Bawumia before maybe he would have some sense of, because initially the rhetoric is that she felt, no, he didn't qualify for the position. Now, all of a sudden, he has proven himself, and he is qualified even to be president. I mean, it's a whole hodgepodge of issues, but I don't want to let go of some of my thoughts. I just feel we ought to go past some matters, really. We ought to go past it.
I actually read it just as a headline. I wasn't interested in.
Oh,
The story that I want to highlight is this issue of lack of logistics for the officers who are supposed to take care of these beggars that we've been talking about, that they've occupied a lot of our streets and they've become a nuisance, very aggressive in the way that they tend to beg.
Yesterday, some were rapping on my car, like they were rapping, hey, like.
Yeah, and they tend to get upset when they realize that you're ignoring them. Well, currently, the various offices of the Department of Social Welfare, the assemblies, lack vehicles to enable officials to move around to pick child beggars from the streets. Here's one officer who says that for the 31 years that he's worked as a social worker, the department has not earmarked a single vehicle for them to go around. So how do you expect us to effectively help rid our city of child beggars? That's
how do you
the reality.
Them to do that?
That's
how do you
the reality. Yeah. So, whilst we look at the other issues, let's also remember. So we can talk about the fact that they've become a nuisance and they are disturbing us. But who is actually responsible for checking?
Yeah.
They don't have the tools to do it.
So social welfare, social workers, gender ministry, child protection, and all of that. You know something interesting that just came to mind? In other jurisdictions, even stray animals or animals that aren't supposed to be somewhere, there are mechanisms in place to get them off the street. Here in Ghana, human beings, I mean, I use the animal thing with all respect, human beings, and we don't even have systems in place to check it. Well,
Gefty, you're there?
Yes, yesterday I think we talked about that story. So it's also interesting that another newspaper is reporting it today with a different angle, which is great. One thing I'd like to just touch on before we wrap up is that the lands minister, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, has also been going around talking about the fact that government is not against small-scale mining. I think that now that he has started his own work, we're looking forward to his contribution to it. But we shouldn't be giving mixed signals, because the concerns that people have about this community mining that we started is that people are actually using it. Politicians, big people are actually using it to do galamsey, to do the illegal ones anyway. And I think it's important for us not to give mixed signals. We looked at the video from Asanko Gold, and you look at concessions that are owned by companies that are being encroached upon by galamseyers. I think that there has to be very serious conversations going on, engagement of the leaders of these galamseyers so that they can have a conversation, because there is a lot of economic gains to be made from a properly set up mining operation, which is what's going on. So we shouldn't give mixed signals, but we should also be careful with our community mining project.
Okay, let's quickly check out myjoyonline.com. Yeah,
myjoyonline.com. You find this lead story there. Kufuor's cousin at Noguchi cited for conflict of interest in Frontier's healthcare contracts. And a bit of that story as we bring you what's on myjoyonline.com. It says the COVID-19 Corruption Risk Assessment Report 2021 has cited head of virology at Noguchi Medical Research Institute, Professor William Ampofo, for conflicts of interest in the controversial Frontiers Healthcare Services contract. According to the report, Professor Ampofo, who is cousin to President Kufuor and Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, supervised the validation of Frontiers Healthcare Services to commence its operations in Ghana even before the company could get approval. The Corruption Risk Assessment Report said that his involvement as a local agent was with no obvious value to the performance of the contract. It's a 67-page report. You can go to myjoyonline.com. That's the story, and then you can read a lot more on that and appreciate it. This contract has become a big issue in the past, during the vetting of appointees. Then this issue came up, more than two ministries.
It's an albatross around the neck of.
It'll be interesting. You can take your time and read in detail, and then draw your own conclusions based on this risk assessment report. There are plenty of other stories on myjoyonline.com that you can explore in, a time convenient to you, really.
Well, thank you very much, Gifty, for joining us, for joining the news review. But before we go, we can't move on to sports without this. We celebrate our own. He recently tied the knot, and today happens to be his birthday. Yes, Stephen Kwete.
Kwete
Nati.
Kwete Nati.
Oh no, Charlie, he newlywed with birthday. Again at the whole while.
He's on a honeymoon, isn't he?
Ponding for
yes, Mama V.
Oh, and he's celebrating his birthday.
Yeah, he sent me a message with the content that I can't review on air.
All right, so happy birthday to you, Kwete. I want to say good morning to Mr. Kofi Esel of the FDA and to our Muslim brothers and friends and sisters still in the Ramadan fasting. Charlie, big ups to you all.
Yeah. Anyway, time now for us to move over for sports. That's up next on the AM show. Do stay.
It is a pleasure to come your way this morning with the AM Sports on the AM show. I am Muftau Nabila Abdullah. We're bringing you stories of how Kumasi Asante Kotoko has been asked to pay their former coach Maxwell Konedu $41,000 by the Player Status Committee of the Ghana Football Association. And Ben Nunu Mensah has been speaking about how his administration has made the so-called least financed sports more popular. And also the dream of having a Super League has collapsed. The Super League organizers say they will reconsider their model and present it to members. But first, let's start with Tokyo Olympics, where Ben Nunu Mensah, the president of the Ghana Olympic Committee, he says that his administration have made least financed sports in the country more vibrant.
The last 4 years, I'm sure you can't imagine the amount of work that you have done for people to now talk about sports like cricket, to talk about squash. It is because you guys have done so much to put these sports out there. What you have also done is to give exposure to these sports such that brands and companies want to be associated with these sporting disciplines. And that also is something that we are going to take to the notch higher. We already had media persons attached to the various sports federations. What we want to do is to make sure that as much as possible on the International Sports Federation media team, we also have to have Ghanaians in the International Sports Federation's media team. So those are things that straight away I can tell you that we're going to work very, very hard on.
But now, let's bring you the story that has to do with Asante Kotoko and their former coach, Maxwell Konedu. On March 4, Maxwell Konedu reported Asante Kotoko to the Ghana Football Association Player Status Committee. According to him, Kotoko unilaterally terminated a 2-year contract he had with them. He had exhausted one, and they was left with 1 year. After losing to Great Olympics, he was sacked on December 17, 2020. Kotoko, in their defense to the Player Status Committee, indicated that they sacked Maxwell for a cause because they felt that he was not the man who was going to deliver them to the height they were seeking to achieve. The Player Status Committee held 2 meetings to arrive at their conclusion, and they've asked Kotoko to pay $41,000 to Maxwell Konedu. Konedu had asked that they should give him $60,000 compensation for damages, but the Status Committee say they couldn't find any justifiable reason that they could give him that money. Now, this is an area of interest to so many Asante Kotoko fans because in the meeting that transpired before the Status Committee came out with the ruling, the chairman of that committee lives in London. He's been in London for 6 whole months. However, his vice chairman is in the country. So most of the meetings, they met via video call. Interestingly, 2 people on the committee voted against Maxwell Konedu, but 3 voted in favor of Maxwell Konedu. So the other person who was supposed to sign the letter that says that Maxwell Konedu has been granted the reliefs he was asking for, said he was ill and could not sign it. And that is the vice chairman of the committee. He's called Cornelius R02. According to him, he was ill and could not sign it. So when the ruling came out on April 1, the GFA were unable to make it public because they needed it signed. and the vice chairman was unwilling to sign. Yesterday, the GFA got frustrated and decided to scan the letter and send it to the chairman of the Status Committee, who lives in London. That is Ishaq Al-Hassan. He signed it and sent it back to the Ghana Football Association before it was published. The ruling was arrived at on April 1, but they could not make it public. Ishaq had to take a copy and sign, simply because our sources indicate to us that the vice chairman, who was not in support of the ruling, said he was not going to sign it. He said he was ill, but sources say he was not ill. That's what made the GFA very frustrated. Now let's take a look at what the GFA have said. The GFA Player Status Committee said that in the opinion of the GFA Player Status Committee, whether there is a just cause, it must be established in a case-by-case basis. They say all breaches of the contractual obligations do not give the counterparts just cause for termination. Even if the football club or the football coach fails to fulfill contractual obligation, it might not give the other party the right to terminate the contract. The commentary edition of FIFA's transfer regulations seen in connection with extensive jurisprudence from FIFA decision bodies and cards show that a contractual breach either must be material, persist for a long time, or is cumulated with other violations over a certain period. So Maxwell Konedu was given 3 reliefs, which has to do with the residual value of his contract, which is $36,000, $30,000 sign-on fee, and 2,000 Ghana cedis match bonuses. That's all time will permit us for AM Sports on the AM show. I am Muftau Nabila Abdullahi.
Well, welcome to our big conversation here on the AM show. It's the AM Talk, where we talk about huge national issues. I've got 2 members of parliament in the studio. Roxanne Nelson, the former is Member of Parliament for South Dai. He's a member of the Standing Orders Committee, the Public Accounts Committee, Constitutional, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee as well. And Dr. Stephen Amoah is Member of Parliament for Nshai, so he's a member of the Finance and Privileges Committee of Parliament. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. It's been a while.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's been a while.
Well, good morning.
Yeah.
Morning.
It's good that we've transitioned from Zoom to physical, so it's good to,
because it was really
see you physically. But you know, you guys are still on recess.
Yes, we are.
How is it going? What do you do when you're on recess? Because you're still in Accra.
No, I just got back. I've been away for about 3 weeks, and I've been monitoring him, so I know that he's also been away. You use the recess.
Why have you been monitoring me? When I told you he likes me.
I don't like him.
You see?
Stop this.
You feel me too much. You know.
You're unbelievable. So you use the recess, like I was saying, to.
I hope you are not LGBT compliant.
To account to your people. By accounting to your people, you go back to them. You, as it were, try to educate them about things that are happening in Parliament.
Are they usually interested?
Yeah.
Okay.
You have no idea, and you'll be shocked how some even have questions as to happenings in Parliament as to date and time. Yes, so you have to be on top of the issues and generally get back to them.
So what's the medium? Is it town hall?
Town hall. Yes,
okay.
I do town hall, and I do it.
I did something different.
3 times in a year.
Okay.
That's every quarter.
Okay.
If there's time, you try and add the churches. Yeah, so generally, that's what.
Are they happy with you though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Amoah, how's Nshai so?
By the grace of God, we're doing well. But of course, you know, COVID has slowed down activity. I mean, productivity is not as it would have been. So, but I mean, put all together, I think we are very happy people.
How do you also engage your constituents?
Yes, as I said, COVID-19 actually disoriented the way things should have gone in terms of post-elections. You couldn't have brought them together as conventionally done. So what I did was I went to a few churches to thank them. And then I asked humbly the chiefs to congregate them. Their number is not too large. They are about 24. And also thank them. I met the assemblymen. And then I also used the rice to meet communities. So I used megaphone and about 7 people with me to go to areas where you have quite a number of people. Use megaphone to reach them, to thank them. And I have also met a chief to present my program for the constituency. Because I'm going to set up development committees, education committee, technical skill committee, security committee, youth committee, health committee. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to set up welfare committee, specifically for the MPP, polling station executives. And then we're going to have central committee. So we'll launch them very soon. And they will work in the...
But you're not an MPP, MPO. You're a member of parliament for
all the committees are for Nshieso. All of them for Nshieso. And I've made it clear now.
So this is not like partisan?
No, not at all. By next month, we are commissioning a development office where people can come in and if there's a problem going on.
So if you guys are doing all these things, then why do you need the constituency office? A national constituency office? Are you for it?
No, that one is for party.
Yes. Are you, no, that's national. That's
you say national.
He just made a point that he's going to commission an office. It's going to be a private office. He's going to rent a place.
Yeah, but he's got the resources to do that. No, why can't it serve the purpose of an office for an MP?
Mama, he hasn't got the resource. Indeed, I must say that it is only the recent report on the emoluments which seeks to make a recommendation as to assisting MPs to get a place, an official, a formal place of operation in the constituency, so that if, for instance, I'm able to obtain a place in Southline, and there's evidence of a tenancy agreement between myself and a certain landlord, then there could be an assistance from Parliament. But it didn't used to be the case.
So they're assisting you now?
No, now that's the recommendation. It's not being implemented. I'm only making
That's different from the building of the constituency office.
Exactly. That is why I think Speaker finds it prudent to say that in order to avoid all this, let's see, because it was a project initiated by Speaker Alajite. So he actually succeeded in building about 6. If you go to Ningo Pram, there's a constituency office for the Member of Parliament.
Active?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Some judge will preach from there. He was, the then Member of Parliament, E.T. Mensah, he took advantage. They were some of the initial beneficiaries of that project.
Okay, all right, y'all. This is just me, wanting to know what you're up to in your constituency.
Maybe one day you need about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Ghana, I think we need to redefine our corporate focus, because the mentality of the people on the ground is giving us Herculean tax that cannot be attained. Because even the constituents, they think that even if a bridge that will cost maybe, say, 2 million Ghana cedis or 5 million, they think MP should do it. And they believe strongly in that.
And I'm being approached for several...
Oh, I'm telling you, it's difficult.
And Mama, you wake up in the morning.
Do you blame them? What did you tell them?
No, you don't blame them. But I'm saying that...
You said you lobby for them as well.
Exactly. It's a system that has to change. Because you see, where people come to your house every morning with their problems, it's not convenient. That's what people are saying.
Tell them. So tell them when they come to your house.
Because I don't have an official place to operate from, so it's okay for me to...
Also, you're not complaining about the numbers coming to you.
Yes.
It's just the inconvenience of them coming to your house.
Because for me, if somebody has to travel 45 kilometers to come and see me, that's a big convenience, an inconvenience. But if the MP's office is located in equidistance from all corners, where it can be easily accessed from equidistant from all corners of the constituency, that's better. You understand my point?
All right.
I also think, sorry, the last one. I also think the third phase, not just coming to see you, but sometimes the demands.
They bring letters to
I'm telling you, sometimes every week you have to look for maybe minimum to me about 10,000.
Where'd you get that money from?
That's you look for, so all your life. But MP, the fact that he's MP, that he doesn't work. I own the largest palm plantation called West. We do so many different works.
So how
I've been doing all this. I have my oil on the market, Zentex palm oil, certified FDA. We work so hard.
My point
so everything you have will go.
Yeah, but when you give it to them, do you make the money back? It's not an investment.
It's purely philanthropic.
The person wants it.
So for how long can you?
I have to pay fees, pay accommodation, do this, and
your common
numbers.
Grants,
and some of us that are on radio and TV, being on it for over 20 years, it's not only your constituency, it's not only your region. Different regions, they know you.
You guys are really rich. Congratulations.
No, we are not rich.
That's why you're
we are going through stress.
Mama, this is a very important platform. Stop making those comments.
We are suffering.
But you keep going.
No.
This is your second term?
Yes, I keep going.
He loves the people.
But you see, it is time we see we should be able to build career out of politics. Politics should not be seen as an also run sort of thing.
That's what I was talking about.
When you go to the U.S., there are people. Nancy Pelosi has been in the U.S. Congress since 1988. You see, that is the way you bring it.
So are you able to tell the people that come to you personally to stop coming to me? And
no, you can't say. But you find a way to explain. And sometimes they don't understand.
An MP, you can't. How do you drive people away from
But you are not happy. You don't like it.
You are not getting it. Let me say that. Me, for instance, if somebody begs me for something and I don't have, it pains me, so it makes me jittery. Naturally, I want to give out. But what I'm saying, sometimes the numbers come plenty beyond your rationed resource. Then it becomes an issue. And sometimes the expectation that, MP, you should be able to do the rules. And if you want to explain to them, some of them do not really understand. So I'm saying that as a country, we need to, as my brother, we need to redefine our corporate focus and make sure that they don't care about assemblyman. Maybe a few cases they will go to us. They don't care about maybe KMA, AMA boss. I'm not saying they don't go to them for needs. But when it comes to issues, everybody thinks it's MP who is supposed to fix all the problems in the country.
They don't even go to the DC.
Even if the town passes through a highway, they think you have to. So based on this,
we need a consultative meeting apparently. But let's talk about some of the other big issues in our country. If you go to myjoyonline.com, you find this risk assessment that is making the headlines. There's an issue of conflict of interest, but the general one is the fact that contracts awarded to Zoomlion, Frontiers Healthcare Solution, others were in breach of procurement practices. And so we're looking back at what we did when COVID struck and the interventions that we made, and the revelations are not good at all. You have had time to go through. This is over 60, almost 70-page document. So I guess your initial thoughts, and then we'll come to some of the details.
Thank you. Indeed, the report, it's a big revelation. If you follow the minority, we've been calling for an audit of the COVID expenditure since from about the end of last year, even before the elections. And indeed, before the last meeting, before we adjourned Senate during the last meeting, we had made a call during the budgetary debates that we need to audit the COVID expenditure. We need to audit the COVID trust fund. Monies have been donated, activities have been undertaken, but we don't know how. So we need to know how much came in, how much was expended formally. But luckily, this report has done some form of assessment. And like you said, yes, off camera, he made a point that pursuant to the Public Procurement Act, under certain emergency situations, certain key provisions pertaining to the mode of procurement, the manner of procurement, and the procedural requirements could be waived. I agree. But was it the case in this matter? It wasn't, because in waiving those statutory requirements, there are also formalities that you follow. So the report didn't simply gloss over those statutory requirements. They simply said that in awarding the contracts, especially to these two entities, we breached the law. So it dovetailed clearly into the position of the NDC, especially in respect of the frontier services, those who are conducting the tests at the airport. And you also recall that during the vetting, almost all the ministers that came in had something to do with the work of the frontier services. He said they had no idea. So,
to be fair, there was Kojo Ponkrama who finally came to say that the transport minister was the one who was going to give details, because apparently it's his ministry that had the contract.
And when he came, what did he say? It was rather the finance minister that eventually said something concrete about it. That a team was put together to ensure that that contract took off. So that's about that aspect. Now, in respect of the other aspect of the report, you know that it's been put out on many, many occasions that we spent about 12 million on hot meals, for instance. But the report is saying categorically that we spent in excess of 42 million. And that is a jump of about 30 million. So we, even in addition to the fact that we are not getting transparent with the expenditure, we are also not getting true accountability of how the funds were expended. And some of the agencies appear before the Trace Committee. I'm not a member of the Trace Committee, but I'm a friend to that committee. And if you look at the expenditure lines, submitted during the budget estimate hearings, it leaves a lot to be desired. For instance, in one of the reports, it was stated clearly that they gave food to 470,000 families, not individuals, families.
Sorry.
Families from where? When at all material times, the suggestion has been that they've given food to individuals, hot meals, and dry foods. But in that report, in that budgetary estimate that was brought before the Trade Committee, we were told that over almost 500,000 families have been sorted out. So these are the bases upon which we are asking for an audit. And this report is a great spyglass view to what's happening to the COVID fund. And interestingly, COVID is still with us. The government is still looking for money. We've just been slapped with about 5 new taxes to take care of some aspects of COVID expenditure. So the expenditure so far over the past 1 year has to be critically looked into.
Okay, so on the transportation of frontline health workers, the report indicated that an amount of 2 million Ghana cedis was allocated, but it doesn't appear to have been fully utilized, leaving a million, well, over more than half, 1.5 million unaccounted for. A lot more revelations, including the fact that the boss at Noguchi is also in a conflict of interest situation. So details of this is the fact that, according to the report, Professor Ampofo, who is cousin to President Akufo-Addo and Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, supervised the validation of Frontier's healthcare services to commence its operations in Ghana even before the company could get approval. The corruption risk assessment report said that his involvement as local agent was with no obvious value to the performance of the contracts. The report by the Community Development Alliance said that the company appears to have been hurriedly incorporated to take charge of COVID-19 testing at Kotoka International Airport, as it has no record of ever providing such services, did not have the requisite personnel, and had not been licensed by the regulator, HEFRA. These are damning revelations, Dr. Amwa.
Sorry, yet to be properly drawn the needed inferences. We cannot really be hasty in inferring that these are this, these are that. That would be very unfair. It has not been subject
on the face of the reports with
that's
the details.
On the face. But reports come out all the time. I can't speak to it so much simply because I haven't done my financial analysis on the whole thing. So I can't say it's wrong or right, but I think we need to get it clear. My brothers made mention of procurement, which, yes, it's true. That wasn't exactly what I said, but what he said wasn't also wrong. I'm talking about the PFM Act, Public Financial Administrative Act. Even Section 18 states emphatically clear that when there is natural disaster, public health epidemic, when there is war, issues such as we're having, even fiscal rules and regulations are suspended. You see, corruption is something I always fight against. And I'm one person, I'm not saying I can't even be caught in corruption issue, because sometimes you are not intentionally getting yourself corrupted. But probably even non-compliance or mistakes can put you there. But what I'm saying is that corruption is something anybody in Ghana knows that I frown. And there's corruption. I mean, all systems in Ghana, is it the media, is it the MPP, is it NDC, is it the police? When you say they'll pick just an aspect, put it on websites and just destroy you, that's not my business. What I am saying is that let's really, really be extremely holistic and honest and change this country. If there's corruption, why not? We should work on.
So what do you make of this risk assessment reports?
One, I haven't read the entire report, so my conclusions would be very unfair, whether defending or going against it. But what I'm saying is that we should have this primarily assessment of the whole import of it. Can we situate the COVID-19 issue in the context of Procurement Act, in the context of PPA, this, in the context of that? No, we cannot. People were dying, we were all panicking, we were doing a whole lot of mistakes, we were doing trial and errors. So let us not behave like things were normal and that we're handling issues. We didn't go through procurement, we didn't go through that, we didn't go. The only thing that I want our people to do, and what I will support, is that if you say you provided 70,000 people with item A, B, C, D, and we find out that it's not true and there's evidence, then it's a serious issue to take. But non-compliance issue here, to me, it's just a mischief. It's just a mischief. Situation where people are dying, we've been asked to stay home, productivity on hold, nothing was going on, the whole world were panicking, and we're making decisions sometimes out of arbitrariness, and people want to go back, oh, they don't go through procurement this, they don't go through procurement that, they don't happen to do this, they don't go to, no, this is not right. The thing they have to do is, probably the last segment of it, truly, was the money used for the purpose? That one, sure. But compliance issues,
but you also don't care about the fact that a company was supposedly set up mainly, you know, just the airport could open and they could carry out testing, the fact that they don't have any history of any work done in that area, the fact that the president's cousin may have found himself in a conflict of interest situation in terms of leading the validation of this company. Do you care about that?
Let me use the last principle. LIFO, you know LIFO? Last in, first out. Your last point of president's cousin. Can we stop as a country? Can we, for once, be honest to God that we serve and say there is no only fornication that is sin? If somebody is president's brother or cousin or friend, me, I never spoke against Ibrahim Mahama. Why? Because if his work did not border on corruption or serious conflict of interest where somebody could have done better was given to him, because he's a president, brother, or friend, he shouldn't eat, he shouldn't work. Once my father becomes president, look, just knowing you, if I become president, you benefit. Let's be honest. You call me, oh, president, my son is this, can you look for a job? What's that? He is NDC, I'm MPP. He's very sound, strong, I am too. But you think the relationship we all have now, if he needs something from me, I need something from him, he's in government, he will not help me. Let's put this aside. Second phase. Because of the nature of what happened, whether a company was established or not, one thing that I want to look at, did they do their work judiciously? What they did, was it aligned to the budget that was actually outlaid? These are the serious issues. Then we can talk about judicious, efficient use of state resources. That one, yes, you cannot. But whether it was set up and it was not set up early, whether it is about competence, core competence. Did they have it or not? This is what we should talk about. So we should limit this thing to the level where, okay, we use 30 million for this way. Was it done? It was not done. Then it's a serious case. But talking about compliance and rules and somebody's president, cousin, and so, in my opinion, in situations such as this, it is irrelevant. That is me. Okay. I've not read the report.
Mr. Dafamapo, do you appreciate how he's angling
let me land with this. Let me land with this. The PFM Act 2016, Act 921, 18.1. Ask him. It's there. Go and read that. When this thing happens, even fiscal rules, all the fiscal rules involves even budget setting, budget allocation and all those things. They are part of it. If you're talking about
so you set all these things aside because there's an emergency.
But I'm not saying if the monies have been abused. The Ghanaians twist issues these days. What I want is the efficient and effective use. They should check whether indeed the money was used for the purpose.
We get your point.
That one exactly. But the compliance issue, it doesn't come in here.
Okay.
First of all, he's not addressing the issue. The report we speak of is about the risk analysis findings. He said whether the company had core competence. The report is saying they did not.
Fine, so it's an issue.
Exactly.
No. So you get my point.
No, my brother.
And I was very quiet. I was very quiet. I'm not arguing with you, my brother. Just 1 second.
I was very quiet.
1 second. You are my brother. Relax.
Yes. But
it's a long time.
No, I was very quiet. So let me rebut the point.
I think my point.
Okay, so let him make his point and then you can come in.
He's twisting what I
am not twisting.
So just
let me give clarity, then he can talk.
Let him land and
then I'll let him come in. For me to give clarity.
Let him land. Thank you.
So I'll come back.
First of all, the report is saying that the Frontiers Health Services did not have the core competence for purposes of the work they are doing. In fact, they further went ahead to say that it appears they were established purposely to do that. They are no pure record. So I expected him to deal with them.
How was the last time we had pandemic?
Now, two.
Then the report has a problem.
Now, please, now two.
Something that has never occurred for about 500 years.
How
can you talk about proving record?
Can you?
Then the report has to be questioned.
Can you?
It had a prejudicial position.
Can you call him to order?
Please, let him land.
That.
Go ahead.
Two. He speaks of the Public Financial Management Act. Has he forgotten about the Procurement Act? You know, these things is the Procurement Act, that's the Parent Act. There are procedures for waiving. When we are in a pandemic, didn't the government come to Parliament? Please, didn't the government come to Parliament to seek for parliamentary approval to waive certain things and to also promulgate certain executive instruments to govern the life of the people in this country? So you think that in a pandemic or in an emergency situation, laws should be waived arbitrarily? No. Otherwise, it will be in a state of anarchy. That is why the law in itself provides for procedures to follow in emergency situations. That is why, for example, in Article 31 of the Constitution, there are procedures to follow under emergency situations. And they followed it and came to Parliament. So for him to say that because Section 8 of the PMF Act says that 18 should be waived, when the things are done without waiving those requirements, we shouldn't complain. No, that is not how we govern the Republic of this country. No. So things must be done in accordance with law. The law itself provides for procedures under emergency. You didn't follow those ones. And the report is further saying that it appears you took advantage of COVID-19 to engage in corrupt activities. We just seen, there's a video going around from Malawi, where after the audit of the COVID-19 expenditure, ministers have been fired, public servants have been arrested. That is how you do things. That is the proper governance structure in any country.
You have the president
so if nobody steals, somebody has to be arrested.
You remember what the president said that he will not act based on hearsay?
Why? No, that is in respect of Galamsey. He's not speaking about COVID-19. He hasn't touched on it at all.
But doesn't it give you an idea?
Even in respect of the evidence emerging from Galamsey operations. You've seen how our waters are looking. They look milky. They look like a tea in the morning.
And Galamsey started under Akufo-Addo.
But you need to link.
I will link it.
You need to link a passing.
Yes. No, but I am sad. I am sad that your own reporter from this house went to cover activities. I think Erastus
Asare Donko, yeah.
He covered activities of Chinese operators somewhere in the Ashanti region. There are a lot of videos of government officials involved, and the president still calls those things hearsays.
Some of that was actually played during the vetting, and I wonder what Parliament itself did with it.
There is nothing we could do. That's the mistake a lot of people make. Parliament is so incapacitated, we can't do anything.
Hey,
Really?
Yes.
How can you say this?
We are incapacitated.
Say you are, I'm not.
There are 3 arms.
Exactly.
There's the executive,
yes.
the
I'm saying.
And the last time the speaker reminded us that all 3 are on the same level.
We are co-equal, but we don't have equal powers. Do we spend the public money? We don't spend. We don't have authority of spending public money.
But you approve the expenditure.
Yes, I approve, but I don't spend. Don't confuse our roles.
Talking about.
Okay.
If I'm saying, hold on, Mama.
If you don't approve, please. We don't spend. So don't do that.
Can you stop interrupting me? Don't confuse Parliament's role. Indeed, Parliament has formed ad hoc committees severally to go and look into the Galamsey matter. When we came back, a report was prepared, laid, debated, and that was the end. We don't have the power to enforce. The entity that has the power to enforce our laws is the executive. What is the Attorney General doing in respect of these matters? You understand my point? We don't have prosecutorial powers.
All right,
the entity with prosecutorial powers in Article 88 is enshrined in the Attorney General of the Republic.
Let's stay with this risk assessment report, okay? And just the last thing on this, and then we will link to other matters because you brought the Galamsey. We'll talk about the water issue real quick.
you brought it. You said that the president says he will act on hearsays. And I'm saying that is in respect of Galamsey. Yesterday, the Minister of Information went around with some of his ministers. We saw how Ghana water, the quality of water they are treating for us.
We'll come to that.
And yet the president will say that is a hearsay.
We'll come to, so just because you wanted to make a point, you wanted
I think this issue
make clearer something like
the president, people are misconstruing when you say hearsay. What we mean is that not until found guilty by court of competent jurisdiction. Let's face it.
Okay, let's come back to this.
Oh no, let's
talk about the water issue that will link to.
No, but this is what you're saying. When Kufuor was in,
we mean that the president can direct that.
But he said I shouldn't interrupt you. He said we shouldn't interrupt you.
The president can say that prosecute this matter.
So can I continue now?
Based on the evidence.
No, can I continue now? So what I'm saying is that when former President Kufuor was there, our brothers made all sorts of allegations. They were in power 8 years. They couldn't even jail one person. So we should be able to draw lines between perception and realities. Some perceptions may end up being true.
In respect of what?
The corrupt cases, you people were saying we are corrupt, this, that. So you can only say that somebody is saying this or that, ABC, because of that, somebody has by force be jailed, you spend state resources. Okay, I'm coming back to this. I think I made a point. I saw your lines, they were writing it. I am saying that I made a conditional statement. Based on what? And I have not read the report. That they are saying that they were not having the capacity to be given that opportunity to do what they were doing by the report. If they do that to me, then they had a prejudicial position. That is one thing. Because how could you say that the government took advantage or whatever body took advantage of COVID-19 to be corrupt? That's a serious statement by any statutory body or anybody of this remarkable nature. That's what I'm talking about. But coming back to
evidence,
where is the evidence?
We don't want them.
I'm coming back to Parliament. One, I would say that we are capacitated because every expenditure that this state will spend, or most of the expenditures, will have to go through approval stage.
That is not the issue.
Which is the approval process.
Asking, listen.
Can I finish? The approval process. No, my brother here has been part of it.
She asked whether the Galamsey issue, what has Parliament done about it? And I'm saying in that regard, we are incapacitated.
How?
Because
there were ministers that appeared before us. And
you question the minister. What else can you do?
And we approved.
You question
so what are you talking about?
Okay, so let me.
During the life of the Senate Parliament,
was
over 500 excavators.
Can I put this in another perspective?
But you also was about 1,000 except that you covered it. And then this. Who brought the Chinese?
Oh, please.
No, who brought the Chinese?
Who brought Chinese from where?
You. They started under you.
If a Chinese came to Ghana, who brought him?
Except that.
I am saying that presidential tax force, they seized 500.
Okay, gentlemen,
listen, where are they?
My viewers are not following because you're all talking at the same time.
Sit here and justify everything, please.
Please
go ahead.
You asked me that I should stop.
Did you stop?
You are just producing destructive interference of waves.
Can you please go on?
What I'm saying is that the only difference between the leadership of His Excellency former President Mahama and the leadership of His Excellency present President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's government has the political will to confront it. Nobody in this country, whether young or old, he or colossal,
that's a big lie.
Wait, hang on.
That's a big lie.
Okay.
Was Minister of Lands,
no.
He led the task force.
Okay, can you please allow me?
So what are you talking about? You sit here and lie to the people. You don't even know your facts.
Mr. Nakwanduri.
No, I didn't.
So Galamsey started today.
No,
it didn't start under you.
You are saying that
you brought the Chinese.
Your people brought the Chinese.
What sort of talk? Go and check.
Okay, gentlemen, we have to move on and make progress.
NDC brought the Chinese.
We all like this.
Whose regime that we had a lot of Chinese in this country?
So there were no Chinese in Ghana under Akufo.
Of course, but you under Akufo,
can we get back on track?
No construction.
Can we
NDC they engage in Galamsey. That's the difference.
And they under Akufo-Addo they engage in what?
No, the Akufo-Addo is stopping them.
How?
He's working towards.
Have you seen the Rastons report?
Can we get back on track?
You don't even know your facts.
Gentlemen,
NDC didn't bring any Chinese.
No, you brought to do Galamsey.
Gentlemen,
that's what he did.
Can we get back on track and can we not make wild?
Task force on Galamsey.
Gentlemen,
it's a matter of record.
What I'm trying to say is that Galamsey has been a problem under all regimes.
No, your president said you will put his presidency on the line. Look at our waters. Look at our waters.
They were muddier than your time.
Can you imagine this? Show me evidence. Show me evidence.
I go everywhere.
I don't travel. I only go to the voter
region. I go to all the regions.
What do you mean? What do you know in Ghana that I don't know?
No, plenty, please.
Gentlemen, gentlemen, let's not.
No, it's an insult to tell me that.
No.
I know every nook and cranny.
Mr. Nakwanduri.
What do you mean?
Gentlemen,
I don't travel. I only go to the voter region.
Gentlemen, I will have to close my show because you're not allowing me to progress, and my viewers are getting confused.
How can you speak like that?
Can we not, gentlemen, can we not get personal? Can we not make wild allegations? You're confusing everybody watching the show right now. We started off really well. And then, no, the two of you.
Can you believe
Please. Please.
Stop touching me. I'm not a brother.
Can we make progress with this, or should I close my show?
Please.
Should I close my show? Okay, I think this is where we probably will have to. This is where.
How many languages do you visit?
I'm afraid this is where we have to end the show. I have to say thank you, but it's been. We haven't ended well. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this.
Next time I won't pair with him. I won't.
Okay.
I want lie to lie.
No, you are lying. You said that President Mahama was not committed. And I'm telling you, I'm putting on record that under his watch, Yunusa Hussaini, as Minister of Lands and Forestry, led the presidential task force on Galamsey.
How come people don't want him to be president again?
You arrested over 500.
That's it for our show for AM Talk. I'm afraid we have to end now. I'm afraid because we.
Welcome back on the AM show. Exciting times indeed. But police in the Central Region have arrested 2 persons suspected to have gunned down a businessman at Opekuma near Kaswa. And we'll be bringing you some snippets of what exactly happened there, as Central Regional Police Commander DCOP Habiba Chumesi Sapong says a series of measures are being rolled out to deal with the crime situation at Kaswa and other neighborhoods. We'll be joined by our correspondent Richard Kojonyako, but he has more in the following report.
On the 31st of March, the Kaswa Divisional Police Command received reports that a man aged about 45 had been shot by an unidentified male suspect who was a pillion rider on a motorcycle close to the Opekuma traffic light in Kaswa. Police proceeded to the crime scene, found the man and dragged him to the Kaswa Polyclinic, where he was pronounced dead. Initial investigation revealed that 2 men on a black Royal motorbike at Opekuma Junction traffic light and a pillion rider on the same bike, armed with a shotgun, got down from the motorbike, attacked the deceased, who was coming from the opposite direction of the road, collected some brown envelopes he was holding, and shot him on the chest. Central Regional Police Commander DCOP Habiba Chumesisapon addressed the media on the developments.
The disease was identified later as Mr. Stephen Enchi, a businessman who stays at Obolo Estate at Kaswa. Investigations revealed that the disease on the day of the incident was sending unspecified amount of money in an envelope to meet his business partner when he was shot and robbed by the suspect at Opekuma Junction traffic light. New development. On 19th April 2021, the Kaswa Divisional Police Command, based upon intelligence, arrested suspect Eric Asare, aka Fanta Moja, at his hideout at Budumbura in connection to the murder robbery of the deceased Stephen H. at Opekuma Junction, Kaswa. Meanwhile, the suspect is yet to be put before court. Body of the deceased was deposited at the police hospital mortuary for preservation, identification, and autopsy.
The police commander also briefed the media on the measures put in place to clamp down criminal activities at Kaswa.
Security measures put in place to curb criminals at Kaswa and Millennium City Division. More personnel have been sent to augment the strength of personnel at the two divisions to help with operations, police operations. Vehicular, motorbike, and foot patrols have been intensified. Police, in collaboration with opinion leaders, are negotiating to form more community watch committees. Media education, community engagement are ongoing within the two divisions and its environment. More informants have been cultivated to help with information sharing. Very soon, there will be introduction of tent cities to be closer to the public. They will be co-locating within certain environment within Kaswa.
In a separate development, the Kaswa CID, acting on intelligence, arrested and brought to the Kaswa Divisional Headquarters suspect Kofi Apia, also known as Abuaji Da Costa, together with 10 bundles of 50 Ghana cedi notes suspected to be fake. The suspect was arrested from his hideout at Estate Junction at Kaswa. A search conducted in his apartment led to the retrieval of the bundles of money. He has since been detained and would be arraigned in court subsequently.
We'll be bringing you other stories from across the regions, but for now, let's focus on the central region where this indeed happened. Richard Kwejunyako joins us with the latest. Richard, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So what is the latest? What are the further developments that we've seen on this matter that you can share with us?
So the police tell me that they are preparing the suspect for court, and so that is the latest. But they tell me that the Kaswa area is a bit problematic, and the other time we spoke with them, they said that the Kaswa incidents are being exaggerated because if you look at the toll booth area, that does not fall under Kaswa. It is not in the central region. But when any incident happens there, they attribute it to Kaswa. So they are worried about the labeling of Kaswa. Even the 10-year-old boy who was killed by the teenagers, that incident happened in the Gas South municipality and did not happen at Kaswa. So other adjoining communities, when any incident happens, it is attributed to Kaswa. They label Kaswa as the crime spot, and that is where they have a bit of a problem. But nonetheless, you heard her saying that they rolled out series of measures, and they believe that would ensure that they bring the situation of Kaswa, the crime level of Kaswa, they would put it in check. And so that is really what they are doing. Today, we'll be on the ground to check whether the policemen, she indicated in the press briefing that they're going to send more of their men to Kaswa to ensure that things are really brought under control. We are going to see whether what she said would match what really would be on the ground. And so that is what we will be doing today.
Well, interesting point you make there, because indeed we have heard, because Kaswa is a central location, a lot of the time even the outskirts of Kaswa or towns close to Kaswa are still considered Kaswa, and that's a major problem. But we've heard from the regional police commander, and she has been talking about whether indeed the police has the capacity to deal with the spate of crime. What has she been saying in that respect?
Well, so he said that, well, the police do have the capacity, but they would want more. And so that is why they are doing more. In addition to what they already have on the ground, they are putting in place other things, including involving the community folk at Kaswa to form some neighborhood watchdogs, to be each other's keeper, to be their neighbor. And so they could also be informing the police, giving them tip-off, because the police ordinarily will act on information that will be given by the general public. Together, they feel that to combat crime is a shared responsibility. And so if the resident would sit on the fence and would watch the police do that alone, that situation will remain unsolved. And so that is why they would want to move everyone along to ensure that this thing is done. You know, Kaswa has become a center where people that even work in Accra, they do stay in Accra and they commute to Accra on a daily basis. So it's such a fluid situation there, because the people there are not permanent. They move in and come in, they move out and come in as they will. And so it becomes very difficult for you to even identify who your neighbor is, who your next door neighbor is, because tomorrow that person could change. And so it is not like, for instance, Cape Coast, that you know a lot of people, Auntie Kwa knows Antama, and then the sons and the daughters. But in Kaswa, it is a bit different. It's a different ballgame, and that is why they are finding it sometimes tough dealing with the Kaswa incident.
Now, I want you to share with us what the reactions have been. The family of this 45-year-old businessman, they have had their own sentiments to share. What is the latest you can share from there?
So, they remain distraught. They are relying on the authorities, especially the security agencies, to ensure that justice is done. So once they got the hint that that person has been arrested, they want the security agencies or the police to follow that incident to the letter, to send the person to court, and then ensure that a very good sentencing regime takes place. And so that is what they are saying. But the general sentiment you pick around Kaswa is that, well, sometimes when they report the matter to the police, they do not act on them. But when I spoke with the regional police commander, he indicated that, well, they only count the number of cases when they are reported. And so if an incident happens and it is not reported to the police will not be able to handle or manage such situation. And so that is why they are calling for calm, that whatever has happened, now they are rolling out series of measures. It's been an albatross on the neck of every regional minister, every police commander dealing with the Kaswa incident. And so that remains the situation.
Well, two other quick things. The family has reacted, but I want you to box this together. How have the people you've spoken to in that enclave, how have they been reacting? And again, how has the police responded to the issue of arms proliferation? It appears there are a lot of arms in that enclave, and that's also precipitating the crime we're seeing. What can you say in that respect?
So to the second question, the proliferation of arms in that place, the police say they are working on it, and that is why they would want the neighborhood watchdog thing to be activated. So if someone is doing something untoward, it needs to be brought to the attention of the police. So together with the community folk, they can put that one in check. And it is because of how people move in and out of Kaswa that become very difficult, because you might put the place within check today, but tomorrow it might not be the same, because it's not the same people you constantly find there. There are foreigners, people that do not even come from Ghana, and the Bujumbura camp and the other things. So it becomes very difficult, but they feel that, or they hope that things would be under control when they do that.
Richard, we're very grateful that you joined us with the latest as far as that crime is concerned. But still staying on crime, police have arrested 2 suspects for burning a 64-year-old woman alive at Nankwanduri in the Bungalow district of the Northeast region. Now, Regional Crime Officer Superintendent Ruben Dugra, who confirmed the arrest, said the suspects were arrested at Dadieso in the Western North region after they had attacked the woman and her husband with petrol in the Nankwanduri town in January this year. He spoke to regional correspondent Ilyasu Tanko.
Somewhere 26th of January 2021 at Nankwanduri, one of the villages in the Bungalow districts in the northeast region. This young man, he has an uncle who works with the GRA, Ghana Revenue Authority. So the uncle came home and he called him just to advise him to be of good behavior and conduct himself well. He was then working with two others. So apparently he wasn't happy with these kind of pieces of advice the uncle was giving him. So this got him infuriated. He went home and came back with petrol in this ablution can to burn the house of the uncle. So at that time he arrived, the uncle's mom, the 64-year-old woman, one Linla Akuya, she was standing at the gate of the door. So she kind of tried to prevent him from carrying out this bad intention of his. Then this young man just poured the petrol on the body of this old lady and lit her. This young man, after this act, he went into a hideout. He actually ran into neighboring Togo, but we had hint of his movement, so we put a trail on him. We were monitoring him. When he got to know that police were closing up on him, he relocated. So we continued our trail on him and we located him at Western North Region, precisely in the DSO. And then in collaboration with the DSO police, and that is the NC Divisional Command, we were able to apprehend him. We think that this young man's conduct amounted to an attempt to murder. So we are giving him an attempted murder and at the same time causing harm. The others who were kind of acting alongside with him will be held for aiding and abetting him. And so those are the charges we are preparing for now. But we will be forwarding the docket to the law office for advice.
So you heard the charges there, causing harm and attempted murder. Let's connect now with our correspondent, Ilyasu Tanko, who has the latest on this beat. Ilyasu, thank you for joining us. Now, what more can you share, apart from what we know up to this point, on this specific matter?
Well, what we know is that this morning the case has been sent to the Wale court here in Wale. So the suspect will be appearing for the first time in court this morning. And we also been able to speak with the family relatives of this particular woman. It's not only the woman who suffered injured in this particular attack, the husband of the woman was also injured, but the woman's injury, as we understand, was more extreme than the husband's own. And so we are expecting to see the son of the woman coming to court. And as we speak right now, the woman, as we are learning, is also in a stable condition. She's been going to hospital since the incident happened in January. And from our conversation with the relative, the woman is currently in a stable condition.
Okay, I want you to quickly do this for us. We've seen pictures, terrifying pictures, but can you tell us what is the extent of burns? What have the medical people told us so far? What can you share on that, in that respect?
Well, we have not really been able to speak to the medical expert, but the pictures that we saw that the police have been able to share with us, you realize that this woman was nearly burnt completely. And you can see that as we speak right now, she's somehow not been able to walk proper because her legs completely, all the two legs are completely damaged in this particular attack, and she's been finding it difficult to work. And she also suffered other bodily injuries. What happened is that when this young man came to the house in attempt to burn down the house of his uncle, the woman was alone with her husband, an elderly man, of course, but they were alone in the house. And so when he came at about 4 p.m. to burn down the house, the woman came out and attempt to stop him from carrying out this particular arson attack. And that particular intervention by the woman didn't go down well with this gentleman. So immediately he poured this particular substance in the ablution that, is suspected to be petrol. He poured it on the woman and lit her. And so all the woman's body was soaked with this particular substance. And every part that the petrol touched, the woman was nearly incinerated. And that is why she suffered this particular massive bodily injuries. And so as we speak right now, virtually the woman is paralyzed and finding it difficult to walk in the Bungalow township and the Nankwanduri township.
So the latest, I guess, Iliasu, is the fact that they are going to court today in Wale Wale. That's the latest.
Yes, exactly. I'm currently at the courtyard and we are waiting for the arrival of the judge as well as the suspect themselves. We understand they will be moved from the Gambaga prison where they have been held since the arrest, and so they will be moving from Gambaga to Wale Wale to appear in court for the first time since the arrest.
Iliasu, thank you very much for bringing us up to speed on the latest. But also coming up on the show. Now, it's an interesting bit. We've always called for youth leadership. In the last 2 decades, the United Nations and heads of the African Union have made calls for the active participation of young people in the democratic process of governance in member states. Youth Leadership Parliament, that is YLP, was established as a response to these calls through the creation of a model parliament to give the youth of Africa a platform to build leadership capacity and a voice to engage African governments on issues that border on building the future of the African child. That's why we're having this conversation this morning with Kobe Fabian, who is founder of Youth Leadership Parliament. We also have Prince Osei Wusu, minority leader of the Youth Leadership Parliament. We have Richmond Wadye Dako, the Right Honourable Speaker of the Youth Leadership Parliament. Yes. We also have joining the conversation Andy Amankwa, Majority Leader, Youth Leadership Parliament, and Clement Ashia, Youth Minister Designate, Environment, Science, Technology, and Innovation. Finally, Samuel Lafferty, Youth Minister Designate for Education. So it's quite a tall list, and we're going to try to give a bite to each person as we delve into this conversation. But let me start with Kobe Fabian on this beat. This entire idea to roll out a youth leadership parliament. Yes, the UN has been calling for it, the African Union, but what triggered this from your end?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to the issue. The issue of youth leadership parliament has been something that has been at the center of driving development in the country and across the African continent. Having lived in the UK for a few years and looking at the various development that goes across the European countries, and coming back home, you realize that the problem of Ghana and Africa hasn't been about money or resources, but it has been about leadership. Ghana and Africa lacks leadership, and if any government or people wants to put an investment that would change development, we need to invest in our young people. And that is one of the reasons why I felt that as an entrepreneur and financial investment consultant, my passion was to also contribute my quota, and that is to invest in the next generation of young leaders, build their capacity, give them the platform that they can engage in the governance processes that will lead to effective and sound development in our communities. And that is why I launched the initiative on the 30th of March 2016, bringing together all young people across the various universities and other like-minded youth organizations to form a model parliament. So within the model parliament, we have young people that are modeling the 275 constituencies as youth MPs. We have youth presidents, we have ministers, we have diplomats. We are building the capacities of these young people and making sure that if indeed Ghana wants to develop, that development is in the investment of our youth. And that is why we're here.
So tell us about the ultimate mission and vision that you're hoping to accomplish with this. Yes, you're talking about leadership and young people getting involved, but in the interim, there are certain things you're hoping to achieve, which would be your mission. And in the long term, you're hoping that this will have ripple effects on our leadership in maybe the years and decades to come. Tell us a bit more about that.
I think basically I have written off the current generation of leaders because
you've written them off. Why?
We've talked about making sure that strong leadership in the current crop of leaders bring about change. And therefore, having written that idea off, I believe that we need to build the capacity of the youth today. Now, when you look at the various engagements that have gone on between young people and our leaders, there has never been the roadmap of actually getting young people to be involved or getting young people to actually participate. So young people actually need to take that bold step. And that bold step also includes understanding what leadership is about. Okay, so it is not just about saying give young people the opportunity, but they must understand leadership and be capable to deliver when they are given that opportunity. So the end goal is to make sure that young people have what it takes. They have the skill, they have the capacity and the ability whenever they are given the opportunity to lead. So we give them various experiences. When someone is elected or given the opportunity as a youth president, excuse me, or as a member of parliament, they go through various experiences, networking platform, training, seminars, conferences. Number one, giving them the right network. Number two, making sure that they understand if it's about parliament, the processes of parliament, how bills are passed, how laws are made, the role of a member of parliament, so that we can hold our MPs accountable. And then when they get the opportunity to become a member of parliament, they don't then have to experiment with the position. They already have had some experience. So they go straight into action and they implement what is there. And the beautiful thing is that every young person that is going through Youth Leadership Parliament is given that task of developing what we call a policy document. So they, from day one, are developing a policy document that states to the fact that these are some of the challenges that as a young person I've identified in my constituency or I've identified in my area. And these are solutions that I think we need to put in place to solving these problems. So right from a very early stage, you get the mindset of young people to start thinking about what the problems are, what the solutions are that can fix these problems. And these discussions or engagements are done on non-partisan platform. So it is a very non-partisan platform. Everybody from any political divide is allowed in. And it is also very important to state the non-partisan aspect, because partisanship, if you agree with me, has divided the youth front so much that young people today cannot agree on the right things that needs to be done when it comes to development. It is a case of, well, for as long as you are not with me in the same political divide or wearing the same colors as me, then your good idea doesn't mean anything.
Okay, so let's engage now. Very important points that you've been making about, the idea, why this entire idea. But let's engage some of those who are actually participants in this offshoot or this entire enterprise. Princess Ewusu, now you are minority leader of the Youth Leadership Parliament. I want you to share with us what the experience has been like and what you feel in this portfolio, basically, you can contribute, what impact you feel you can make.
Okay, thank you very much. You know, me being the minority leader has brought a lot of experience, and I have been able to learn how to debate on issues. I have also been able to understand the different opinions when it comes to debates and motions and topics. You know, when you hear a minority, it brings a lot of ideas into your head. Like, it makes you think that you are always against something. But in YLP, we are training the young ones to have different opinions, different ideas. As a youth, what do you see? What is your views on this? What is your opinion on this? Not in a partisan way, as a founder has said, and even it's in the constitution of YLP, Article 9, Section 7, that if you are found doing the bidding of any political party, you'll be sanctioned from YLP. So YLP is serious to build the young ones, and me being the head of the caucus of the minority is a task that I cherish so much. I'm learning so much. The responsibility is big, and it even has helped me when I'm submitting my submissions on motions, debates, and all other things. So it's an opportunity that I haven't taken for granted. It has trained me a lot. I have been so appreciative for the journey that I have learned and that have come so far.
It's quite an opportunity, but having spoken to the minority leader of the Youth Leadership Parliament, I might as well speak to the majority leader as well, Andy Amankwa. Now, Andy, for you, let me start with this. Do you know who the majority leader is in Ghana's Parliament?
Yeah, that will be Honorable Osei Chimen Sabonsu, who is the Member of Parliament for the Swami constituency. And then myself, personally, I'm also representing the Swami constituency in the YLP. But then that is just a coincidence, because it just happens that I was representing the constituency, and when we went for elections in Parliament, in the Youth Parliament, I was elected as the majority leader to lead a caucus. So that's just by coincidence. So
interesting. What has this experience taught you? Is that something you actually aspire to actually become a member of Parliament in government, the real thing, the very real thing, and maybe to become majority leader someday?
Definitely. I believe we all, in the end of our lives, will become stories that will impact and influence. And once you can dream it, YLP gives you the platform to be able to achieve it. As founder said, these are things that we are grooming young people to take active roles in the political space, wherever that you find yourself, because politics is all about changing lives, and that is what we seek to do. But then we learn some key principles that will distinguish us from what we already know, because we find that young people like to backlash the aged in the political space as if they would do things differently. But then day in, day out, we seek to find the same things happening all over. So there are lots of things to learn from YLP, and that is why we find us that as a nurturing room for us all that are in YLP, so that, as he said, with all the aspirations that we have to get to the top of the ladder and to serve our constituents and to serve the people of Ghana.
Okay, now let me come to Clement now. You are interestingly Minister Designate for Environment, Technology, Innovation, Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. And I want us to practicalize this. Look at the Galamsey scourge, for example, the sort of trouble we are facing with Galamsey. What do you think about it? Hello, Clement. If you could unmute and then, interact with us.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Please go ahead.
Now? Am I audible now?
You are audible. Go ahead.
Yes. Good morning. Thank you very much. So with this particular issue about Galamsey, I think we have to have a more broader consultation about what is happening. I find it very difficult to agree with some facets trying to abort the dialogue the government is having, and others who think it is something easy to resolve. What we need is to accept the fact that this business or this illegal activity has indirectly placed food on the tables for many Ghanaians. And a lot of them are struggling to get on their feet with regards to how to get proper licensing to engage or practice this act. Yes, indeed, it is destroying our environment, but we ought to accept first the situation and the calamity we are at hand with. Then we can now start establishing facets of solutions. It wouldn't be done in a day, in a year. No, it would require consistent dedication and devotion by both government, by citizens, or any bilateral relation that would be brought in here. Mm-hmm. So I think the government is on course with this particular dialogue. We have to engage right stakeholders. We have to establish an action plan before we can be able to curtail this menace.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Interesting point you made, and you've been referring to that consultative dialogue that is, has happened, in fact, and the pointers from there. But let me quickly move on to Samuel Lafferty, who is Minister Designate for Education. You see all of what we have in our system by way of education. Some things to celebrate, others not so good. If you were the substantive Minister of Education in this country, what is that one thing you would want to change?
Okay, good morning. Actually, I am not a Minister for Education. I am for Western Housing.
Okay, so it's actually education I have here. But tell us a bit about, let's switch it. If it were indeed works and housing, and looking at our housing issues in this country, what would be that one thing that you would want to effect change in?
Okay, for now, what I am looking at is, when you look at our housing system in Ghana, we can see that the structures are not that effective. And most people are not also getting affordable houses in Ghana. So what I am bringing on board, what I can do to change that system is to make available some resources and have go into partnership with other companies that can help build more houses for Ghanaians and also make it affordable. Because even if there's houses and it's not affordable for the people, it's very difficult for the people to afford and get accommodation. So one thing that we will do is to make sure that our houses, we make sure we build more houses and make it affordable for Ghanaians.
Right. And I see a bit of, so you're actually cutting your teeth when it comes to speaking in public as well. That's one thing you would have to learn how to do. But let's wrap the conversation with Kobe Fabian. And in this concept notes, there's a bit about making Ghana great again, maybe a spin-off Donald Trump's Making America Great Again. And I would like you to tell us a bit more about that, and also about the Ghana Youth President show as we wrap. Kobe.
Okay, so we need to re-echo the Ghanaian dream. And for any young person that lives in Ghana should ask him or herself, what is the future for me? How does the future look like? Where do you find yourself in going through education? Are you guaranteed to get a job? Are you guaranteed to be able to get capital to start your small business and things like that? And these things are the everyday concern and challenges of every young person. And we need to make a way, we need to make that happen. And for that to happen must be an action of the youth.
Okay.
The youth of Ghana wants to make this country great again. And to make it great again, their participation, their involvement, their impact in communities through these actions of Youth Leadership Parliament. And that is why we are launching the Ghana's Youth President Program on Joy Prime. And what that program seeks to do is a platform where many young people, modeling as presidents, ministers, diplomats, and members of parliament, have a manifesto document, a policy that states, this is what we want to do. This is how we want to make Ghana great again, by changing the ills, by changing the difficulties and challenges, the problems, the galamsey, the issues of free senior higher education, double track system. These are all ideas that they are bringing on board to make this country great again.
And that's one that we are all going to be watching. But a very big thank you to Kobe, Prince, Richmond, Andy, Clement, and Samuel for joining us for this all-important conversation. Do stay with us. We'll be back.
Thank you so much.